Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Resco back again with another horror story for you guys. This one actually is a collection of small little horror stories. There are 13 of them. It's called Night Terrors, written by Carol C. Roberts. I'll put the links to the author and the story in the description below. Go show the author some love. Like, comment, and share. First story, Graveyard Shift. Sarah arrived at work and used her key card to open the large metal door of the 5-story building. It was 10:45 at night, the air cool and breezy. She had never been afraid to leave her car and enter the building alone, even though there was no security. Nothing had ever happened in this part of town, so why would she worry now? She walked down the hall to the elevator and pressed 3. On the ride up, she yawned. Another tedious, boring night was ahead, as it always was, and no one in the building to talk to. Sarah was a medical transcriptionist, which entails listening through headphones, typing for hours. The upside was she got paid on production, so the more she typed, the more money she made. Working the graveyard shift, or 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., provided fewer interruptions and more time to work and pile up money. She didn't miss the company or conversation. She was here to work. So, upon entering the empty office in the empty building, the 30-year-old woman sat down at her computer and hit the necessary keys to sign in to the dictation system. Following her usual ritual, she took the glass coffee pot to the restroom hallway, down the hall, and got water for coffee. She returned to the office and made a whole pot which she would drink the next 8 hours. When enough for a cup was brewed, she poured a cup, sat down again at her desk. Pressing a few more keys and putting on her headphones, she was poised to start the first document of the evening. Stepping on the foot pedal, the doctor's voice spoke into her ears. She began transcribing a medical report. Usually, the reports were EKGs that were always repetitious and boring, but sometimes a psych report would come over the wires, something interesting to keep her awake. As usual, the run-of-the-mill dictations came one after the other, no hope of changing to something else. Sarah typed sometimes on autopilot, producing the documents with muscle memory while mentally making out the grocery list or planning the weekend. This night was no different. She had often thought of changing jobs, but what could she do? Typing steadily, she contemplated different areas of work she could do, but got no further than that. With a sigh, she rose from her seat, her hips grown stiff from working nearly 2 hours straight. Stretching her arms behind her, she walked slowly over to the coffee maker and poured another cup. Sometimes she wished she had some company, someone to spur her on with tedious work. Stepping down the hall to the restroom, she used the bathroom and washed her hands, which made her feel refreshed. She was walking back to the office when she heard a squeak. Or was that a noise? She peered down the hallway that crossed in front of her office, saw nothing. Maybe the bathroom plumbing. Once seated, to her delight, psychiatrist was dictating an evaluation, and she forged ahead, enjoying interesting content. Through the voice in her headphones, she heard that squeak again. Did she? Pausing briefly and listening, she heard nothing and continued transcribing, when she definitely heard a louder squeak. This time, she removed her headphones and listened intently, and heard a squeak that sounded closer to her now. No one in this building but me. No security either. A thought which made her freeze in her chair. With nothing and nobody to protect her, she slowly rose to close and lock the office door. She would call her husband at home, or should she call 911? Stepping lightly and quietly, she approached the door, ready to close it quickly when she heard a loud squeak right next to the door. Taking the last step quickly, she grabbed the door, and suddenly a face appeared in the doorway. Oh! The face in the door began chuckling, said, "Sarah, you scared me." Sarah bent over in relief, the familiar face. It was Leslie from housekeeping. Both women giggled and shook with their laughter. "What are you doing here, Leslie?" Working overtime. Easier to clean when nobody's here, so here I am." "So, you working graveyard too?" "Yeah, trying to make more money. Taking advantage of the quiet. Heard some squeaks a while ago and didn't know what it was." The surprised woman laughed some more, and Sarah said, "I need a break now. Go to the break room." Sarah saved the document and exited the dictation system. They made their way down the hall, past the restroom, to the break room. Getting soft drinks from the vending machines in the small room, they sat down at the table, talking girl talk, gossiping, talking about their husband's antics, etc., etc. Being about the same age, they had a lot in common. Leslie thought this would be a good time to talk about a disturbing news report she had heard before coming to work. "Did you hear about the crazy who broke out of the mental hospital earlier this evening?" "No? You're here?" "It was all over the news, girl. This guy that murdered a bunch of people over nothing about to be sent off to that big crazy house in Atlanta. And he up and escaped from a van they had him in the middle of town." "What? When?" "About 7 tonight. The police said for everyone to lock their doors and don't go out unless you have to." Why are we here with a lunatic on the loose? We should get the hell out of here." "Well, we gotta work. I got Ben to drop me off at work right at the door, and nothing grabbed me, so I came on in." Sarah shuddered and was suddenly ready to call her husband to come get her. She decided to call him as soon as she got back to the office, and Leslie said, "Here, let us give you a ride to your car so you don't get killed in the parking lot. It won't be no trouble." Leslie really wasn't troubled by the escaped killer, but Sarah became more and more nervous by the minute. "All right, I'll take you up on that." She didn't know if she'd be able to continue working with this knowledge, but she knew she had to. Leslie gave her an amused smile, and they tossed their empty drink cans in the trash. Strolling back down the hall, Leslie was about to talk some other incestuous news, which Sarah didn't really hear. He was thinking about the hours ahead, listening and looking over her shoulder for the time to leave. With a "see you at 7, girl" by the door, Leslie returned to her housekeeping cart, pushed it down the hall to the elevator, squeaking every now and then. She had drunk coffee and a soft drink, so Sarah entered the restroom and emptied her bladder, and was about to wash her hands when she decided against it, lest she looked up the mirror to see the murderer standing behind her. The unknown woman walked away back to her desk, alone on the floor again. Heaving a huge sigh, she decided not to call home and wake her husband after all. The ride to her car would be protection enough, she hoped. Settling in, she put on her headphones, keyed into the system, stepped on the foot pedal. Only a rustling sound came through, and Sarah was impatient for the doctor to begin. Realizing this was not the dictation she had saved before going to the break room, then her eyes widened in shock as she heard the raspy, deep male voice coming through. "Sarah." She gasped deeply and let go a yelp. Clutching her pounding chest, the words she heard raced through her mind, paralyzed her with fear. She heard the voice through the headphones, as well as near in the room. "You looked everywhere, but behind you." Her headphone cord was jerked around her throat, strangling her while she kicked and pulled on the cord. When she was dead, her lifeless body fell to the floor, her head falling on the foot pedal, activating the next dictation. This is Dr. Robert Guri dictating a psychiatric evaluation, coming through the headphones to be heard by no one. Finished with this one, the escapee left the office, made his way to the elevator in search for a lone woman with a squeaky cart. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our first little horror story, Graveyard Shift.